Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we're actually gonna dive into another question that I was actually asked, and I decided to put it on the channel like I do now, because for the rest of the audience and other followers of the channel who might be interested in the response and might have the similar or same question that they're looking to be answered. As I always recap that on this channel, we're here for self-help and helping everybody with in terms of guidance and just kind of making the right moves that are best for them in their journey in life. So let me just dive into the question. So a female is asking about just finding the right man. And that was really kind of just the short end of the question, really, without going into all this extra stuff that's like irrelevant. So what is the right man can be interpreted all kinds of ways. So we're not going to jump all really deep into that. But essentially, what's happening lately, and this is the thing that, that I think a lot of women need to understand, is that for anyone who's asking themselves that same question, is there is a disparity that's going on right now, and that's why there's this big man movement going on right now during this time right now of the posting of this video. And a lot of people don't really want to open their eyes to to this, even though the person who asked me this actually was very much aware of what's going on and aware of their age and how at their age they were in their late 20s, that they are running out of time to find somebody, late 20s, no children, and saying, okay, well, how do I find that person? Now the thing about it is, the times right now are a reflection of, and I'll sum up the times right now real quick, is you have a lot of women who are running around in their young 20s, and they are, there's the cause for this man movement relating to things like Kevin Samuels and a lot of other shows and videos that are out there on YouTube, shows like Fresh and Fit. I'm throwing that little shout out there because I actually think that their content is pretty good, but let me not dive into all that. So essentially what you have going on is you have a lot of women in their young 20s who they are in this kind of boom in terms of getting a lot of attention, a lot of being desired. They are getting a lot of experience too fast, and it's more experience than what they know what to do with, and don't know how detrimental it is for them. And I actually broke this down to the same person who asked me this question, and essentially what's happening is so it's a lot to break down. I'm gonna try to break it down in phases and not kind of ramble too much, but essentially the long story short of it is you have a lot of females who, because whatever came first, the chicken or the egg, they are not being very attentive to the average guy, even though they themselves, the females, are average, very average. They think that they're more than average because the guys are giving them that attention. What happens is that attention that's being given to them boosts their ego and their self-esteem, but it's all, at the end of the day, really just kind of shallow facade, because if they aren't getting that attention, that surface attention, and women, you guys know, when you're not getting that for whatever reason, you feel it deep down inside, like something's wrong. But what throws off the whole caliber of things in terms of the attention they get is that you have, like I said, because of this kind of disparity of what comes first, the desperation of the men or the women, having all this attention, you start having guys, and I'm going to use the 1 to 10 scale, like we all do. It's universal. We all get it. You have guys who might be like an 8 or a 9 talking to females, the average female who's like maybe a 6 or a 5. And they do it because guys have to settle to get, they have to settle to actually to really just putting it out there to get some, to actually get some action. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying necessarily that has to mean sex. Maybe it just sometimes it just means having someone around. Sometimes it means a date. Whatever the point is, but most usually often is to actually be intimate with somebody. And what happens is guys will settle. So the women start thinking that they're above the level that they're at. If you take a room of 10 guys, you take a room of 10 women, and you say, okay, cool, so 10 women, 10 guys, they should all match up. What often ends up happening is that 3 of the top guys inside there, all 10 women will be looking at those top 3 guys. And the 7 other guys that are average should be matching up with the other 7 girls that might be average, but guess what? That doesn't happen. And they all look at the same guys. And the guys, the top 3, will say, well, since I can have them all, I'm going to have them all. Sometimes they take the top 3 girls as the ones that, hey, I want that as my girlfriend. But when that person either gives them issues, gives them problems, or gives it hard for them to kind of get with right away, maybe they got to kind of do a lot of song and dance, they go, cool, I'm going to take the other 7 and have my way with them however I want. Those other females are going to start thinking, oh my God, I'm so gassed up because I got this guy. The big problem with that is they eliminate the idea of competition. Every woman needs to do what every man does, which is look to the girl beside you and ask yourself, am I hotter than them? And you got to be realistic with yourself. And if you're equal to them, then you got to understand that person is your competition. And if you're not bringing something special to the table, not I want to be treated like a princess, that's not going to get you anywhere. It's not being special. If you just say, I need to be treated like a princess, but I have nothing better than the competition, then what's going to happen is that you're going to set yourself up for failure, because now you're not going to be getting with a guy who's actually on your level. So that is the climate of what's going on right now and why people are thrown off. The problem becomes now that that female thinks that she could ride out and have a bunch of unlimited options from the young 20s all the way up to her maybe 30s. And a lot of times too, with the way the world works, with the whole 30s the new 20, 40s the new 30, which is not true, but this illusion that makes it feel like that's true, what ends up happening is the female will now buy more time wasting out there, playing games and having fun, and the hookup culture, clubs, all that stuff is really a detriment to all this too. But I'm not going to dive heavy into that. But that stuff is all negative, regardless of what people think and want to say it's fun. For the guys out there actually hooking up, they might think it's fun. For the girls out there, hooking up, they don't realize that them having all that experience actually hurts them. And I'm going to dive into that now. Why? So the average guy who is actually equal to the average woman, when that average woman has so much experience, especially not only sexually, but has experience travel wise, because some guy took her some places, or maybe she made her own money and decided, I'm going to go traveling, because she wasn't taking the time to build for her future, because she's like, I have time to kind of party. So sometimes even women use their own money to just go travel, and they have all this fun. What happens is you have so much more experience than the man who's also average like yourself, who is taking that time to build, that when you see the average guy, you're like, he's not on my level. He hasn't traveled anywhere. He hasn't have as much sexual experience. So I don't want that guy. What happens is you're tainting your taste, and you might think that that's not a problem, but it's almost like being on drugs. If a person is on drugs and it makes every experience so great, they're not going to want to experience anything when they're not on the drugs. And that's what it's like. So I know this is getting a little bit long, but I hope that this is information that is very helpful. So what happens is it's a detriment to get all that experience, to be all out there like that. And so everything gets skewed. There's not really a lot of ways to change this right now unless we change the world, or at least the US. So the short answer to that is, for a woman who at least has realization, the person who asked me this question actually had realization to know, hey, I'm in my late 20s. I need to change things. I presented all of the problems too, that, hey, you probably had too much experience, so you're not even gonna be comfortable with someone, in your own level. At that point, your option then becomes, you date somebody who's older. So if you're in your late 20s, we'll say somewhere in, like 28, 29, you aim for somebody who's like 40. that guy will probably have, if he did his work, started building himself in his 30s, started getting himself, good, he might still find you appealing, because even though he could go younger, he might say, okay, if she's got it, if she understands mentally, like, hey, I can't play these games anymore, then he, having more experience, and if she's willing to be a little more submissive to him, will, and I'm not going to dive all deep into the whole thing about submissiveness and whatever in a woman. You just need to know that it doesn't mean you're a slave. It just means that you're letting that man lead, and on top of that, it means you're not ever being disrespectful to him. That's a big thing too, because a lot of people think now it's okay to be disrespectful, and it's not okay to be disrespectful on anybody's part. But a lot of times nowadays, that has to be shouted out and goes hand in hand with the concept of submission, is not thinking that it's okay to be disrespectful for any little thing. But anyway, I digress. So if the woman is willing to, play the role of somebody who's trying to build a life with someone, maybe be, a wife, have kids, and have that kind of house life material, then to the guy who's maybe 40 years old, maybe a good, 10, 11, 12 years older than you, his experience level will match yours, and that would be pretty much the best way for you to find somebody that is on that level. Don't think that you're gonna find somebody of your own age. The reason why I'm going to tell you that is because the only way you're going to be satisfied if someone of your own age is going to be the guy who's already ruined you, which is the guy who's probably like an 8 or a 9, who can go after a female who's an 8 or a 9, but is going after you, the average female, who might be like a 5 or 6, because you're prey to him. Once again, I don't want to use that word, but everyone's on the hunt, and that's what's going to happen. You're never going to find your answer within trying to keep going after, I guess, your number one choice. A lot of people never know how to fall back on the second best choice for them, but sometimes that's in actuality the first best choice, because the first best choice was never even a choice to begin with. So I hope that this generally breezed over the topic of trying to establish that the answer to that question, because to be honest with you, it's a long question. Obviously the video's already gone long. It's a long question to kind of answer when you go diving deep into it, but just understand on the core of it, most of the time the woman's level and ego is boosted at a young age, and like a drug, it's the wrong thing to do. It's the wrong thing to happen. It's the wrong way to feel. And what ends up happening is just ultimately changes the way in which, as a female, what you're looking for. And sometimes it's an overshot, and that causes problems. So try to dial it back, or find an older guy, and that will compensate the difference of his experience level and his confidence level in the way you view him, by simply him being older. And hopefully that would kind of make things match a little bit. He's getting something out of it because he's getting someone younger, which is what he wants. You're getting something out of it because you're getting someone who's a little more established, and someone a little bit more established, a little bit more confident, a little bit has all their things together. But with that being said, do not think you're going to get that just for the purpose of playing games or whatever the case is, because that same guy who's established, he's not looking to just take you on trips. He's not looking to do that. He's going to look to establish something with you, which means that he's going to say, if he's got a good head on his shoulders, he's going to say, we're not spending money, we're not going out, we're not doing none of those things. In the beginning, it's going to feel boring, but you have to understand something, is that that's all relative. Boring is not supposed to be boring if you're making a connection with somebody, but it's about you not spending money and hanging out. I know a lot of women don't want to hear that in this day and age, but that's the truth of the way it goes. Why? Because he's using his money to build. Once he sees that you are loyal, he will now incorporate you into his world of having fun, trips, and all this other stuff. But he's got to know that you're worthy of that, because that type of man who's older, maybe his young to mid 40s, has his head on to the level where the games that may have been played when he was younger on him are no longer going to work. So you got to be in it to actually win it. You got to be in that relationship for the purpose of saying, hey, I'm ready to settle down. Then that would be the type for you to go after. I hope that this helped answer the question a little bit. And if you guys have any other kind of comments or questions, just throw them in the comment section below. And in regarding to the topic. If you have new questions, also throw them below and I will check them out and I will be able to try to answer them in the following video. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video.